Hello, everyone. We are very glad that you joined us today at our webinar series for LIS students. And our topic is projects in libraries. This is the third season. We started this project last year, and we are very glad that this project seemed very interesting to LIS students. And today I'm here with my colleague, Diane Pennington, who will be moderating this session. And Diane, could you please, the next slide? Thank you. This event is being recorded, including chat, and the recording will be posted on our social media, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and also on YouTube channel. The microphones have been muted for this event. If you have any comments or questions, please type into the Q&A box. And also, if you have any questions about privacy, please send your questions to professionalsupport@ifla.org. And I would like to tell briefly about our project. Our project is called a webinar series for library and information science students, and it was initiated by the IFLA Division C professional units. Next slide, thank you. This project is aligned with the IFLA strategy 2019-2024, and it answers answers to the strategic direction 3. And with this project, we are going to provide excellent opportunities for face-to-face networking and learning, and also for online networking and learning. Next slide. And we would like to share with you some numbers about our webinar series. It was started in 2021, and so far we had 9 webinars on 8 topics, and we had 22 student speakers from 14 countries. And I would like to tell you that one of our students speakers for today is Kevin. and this is his third session in this webinar, and we're very happy to have him here today. And I would say that so far we know a lot about the Philippines thanks to Kevin and his colleagues. Thank you, Kevin. You can view our recordings of the last webinars on our YouTube channel at IFLA section on education and training. And now, oh, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Albina Krymska, and I am the section on education and training chair. And now I turn it to Diane, who will be moderating this session. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Albina. So just to introduce everyone who will be speaking with us today, we have 3 different people who will be speaking. The first, as Albina has already said, is Kevin, and he's going to do 2 separate talks for us. The first one will be the keynote from Kevin, which will be on an overview on LAS education in the Philippines. The second one will be Maria, who will talk about projects organized by students. And then we'll go back to Kevin talking about a specific project on promoting and preparing communities for a sustainable future through reading centers. And then the last presentation will be by myself, and I will give an overview on LAS education here in the United Kingdom. So with that, Kevin, whenever you're ready, if you want to go ahead and share your screen and start, we're looking forward to it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Diane, and thank you very much, Albina, for this great opportunity to be with you again tonight in the Philippines, and I think afternoon in your place. So let me share my screen. Hope that you can see it now.
Yep, that looks great. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Diane. So for my first presentation for this webinar, I'll be giving you an overview on LAS education in the Philippines. So first and foremost, I'm Kevin Conrad-Titan Shangko, registered librarian in the Philippines, and at the same time, a Master of Library and Information Science student from the University of the East Manila, Philippines. So I'm currently here in Metro Manila, and to be specific, at the city of Manila, which is the capital of the Philippines, where I took my bachelor degree or my Bachelor of Library and Information Science, and continuously pursuing my Master's of Library and Information Science. So let me start to you by telling you an overview of the LAS education in the Philippines. So as early as 1914, the oldest library school in the Philippines is the University of the Philippines School of Library and Information Studies, or SLIS. So as early as 1913, the Philippines already offered a course in library science, which were offered at the College of Liberal Arts of the University of the Philippines, which is the premier university or state university in the Philippines. So this course was elevated to university level in 1916 when the 4-year curriculum was instituted to prepare students for professional work in library and for teaching library science courses. And as far as I know, the University of the Philippines, SLIS, is the only I school or information school in the country. So since 1913, the University of the Philippines, SLIS, continued to mold and prepare and train LIS students for the country. But at the same time, I would love also to share with you the university where I took my Bachelor of Library and Information Science, and I'm finishing my Master of Library and Information Science. And that is the University of the East Manila in the city of Manila. We offered library science course as a minor or major subject under the College of Education during the school year 1952 to 1953. The first course was named as Library Science 1, or Elementary Reference, with morning and afternoon sessions with Miss Victoria V. Valenzuela Arensdorf, the UE or the University of the East Chief Librarian from 1948 to 1957. We only have about 18 students who took up the degree, while Dr. Sanchez taught the afternoon session with 17 students. So there were only 8 students in the first batch of graduates of the Bachelor of Secondary Education major in Library Science and 10 students in the batch of graduates of Bachelor of Secondary Education major in Library Science at that specific time. But both of the University of the Philippines and the University of the East are those universities who continue to offer the program, both for the Bachelor of Library and Information Science and the Master of Library and Information Science. And the good thing, both university also provide or produced, okay, top notchers of librarians in the Philippines. And I'll tell you later on why we have top notchers in the practice of librarianship in the country. So in the practice of librarianship in the Philippines, we need to finish a degree, which is a Bachelor of Library and Information Science, to be able to be qualified for what we call the Librarian's Licensure Examination, which is the National Librarian Examination in the country. We have Republic Act 6966 in 1990, which is this act shall be known as the Philippine Librarianship Act. It is an act regulating the practice of librarianship and prescribing the qualifications of librarians. In the Philippines, the practice of librarianship needs to be a qualified, okay? There must be a qualified student or a graduate of Bachelor of Library and Information Science or Master of Library and Information Science so that you could be able to take the licensure examination. In 2003, we have this act shall be known as the Philippine Librarianship Act of 2003, which is Republic Act 9246. It is an act of modernizing the practice of librarianship in the Philippines and thereby repealing the old law, which is 6966, which entitled an act regulating the practice of librarianship and prescribing the qualifications of librarians, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes. So in the Philippines, with this two Republic Act, it helped us to professionalize the practice of librarianship in the country. So some of the courses or programs that has been offered by different institutions at colleges and universities in the Philippines. Some institutions offer the diploma in Library and Information Science or DLIS, which is a 2-year program to those who want to be trained to work in a library, but only as a library assistant or those who are working in the library for so long, but not qualified to take the licensure examination. Okay. Another is the Bachelor of Library and Information Science or BLIS, which is the bachelor degree that we have in the country to finish, okay, and to practice librarianship and to be able to be qualified for the board exam. Currently, they're following the SHED memo, okay, or the Commission on Higher Education Memorandum Series of 24, okay, that will be our guide and our memorandum on the curriculum and the subjects to be taken in the program of BLIS. On the other hand, in the Philippines, we have for continuing education the Masters of Library and Information Science or MLIS, and some institutions offers the Masters of Library and Information Science with specialization. Specializations like they are offering law librarianship, medical librarianship, and the like. So those are the current and available courses and programs that you can take in the Philippines to practice and somehow to be trained to be a library assistant or library aide and a librarian if you pass the National Librarian's Licensure Examination. In the Philippines, we have about 90 plus institutions who offered BLIS or the Bachelor of Library and Information Science and Master of Library and Information Science combined in terms of number. If you are familiar with the geographical side of the Philippines, we are separated by islands, which the major islands are Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. And all over the country with all those major islands, you can take BLIS or the master's degree on library and information science on those universities and institutions that are offering those programs. So it's not only within the capital city of the Philippines, but also available in other provinces, in other places in the country. To tell you some of the subjects, okay, that consist on the licensure examination for librarianship in the Philippines. When I say librarian's licensure examination, if I am a graduate of Bachelor of Library and Information Science and I wanted to practice and to be a registered librarian, to be called a registered librarian, I need to take the librarian's licensure examination. So the scope of the examination that we are taking for 2 days are the following: selection and acquisition of multimedia sources of information. Number two, cataloging and classification. Number three, indexing and abstracting. Number four, reference, bibliography, and information services. Number five, organization, management, and development, and maintenance of multimedia-based library or information service laws, trends, and practices affecting the profession. And lastly, information technology. So we will take those 6 subjects for 2 days and we'll wait for some time if we pass the licensure examination. So the passing grade for the licensure examination is a total of 75%. And when you got a passing grade, you can be able to practice librarianship in the Philippines. But what about those who did not take Bachelor of Library and Information Science, but they wanted to take the licensure examination? They have two options. They opt to take the Bachelor of Library and Information Science again as their second degree, or enroll to the Masters of Library and Information Science, given that those both two degree are qualified. When you have your diploma, you're qualified to take the board exam. So the library and information science education in the Philippines composed of different subjects across major like cataloging, reference, IT, and also other electives in indigenous knowledge and multiculturalism, knowledge management and libraries, Filipiniana, which is the local publications in the Philippines, and many more. At the same time, the new curriculum of the library and information science education in the country, the experts and the scholars include different information technology subjects like web design, system analysis, um, database design, digital resources, and the like. With that program and curriculum of the Bachelor of Library and Information Science in the country, we can tell and somehow to be able to train our students, okay, more on an IT and technology driven program and practice when they finish the degree and have a better competencies in or towards the ICT. So I just wanted to show you what we can get when we finish, okay, the licensure examination, and then we could be able to pass the board exam. Each and every one in the Philippines who are registered librarians will have their professional identification card or PIC coming from the Republic of the Philippines Professional Regulation Commission, which we renew every 3 years, including our continuing professional development. So with all librarians who have their PIC or professional identification card to be able to practice, okay, legally librarianship in the country. Okay. So at the same time, librarians in the Philippines continue to study, continue to um, enjoy or enroll to continuing education, attending seminars and workshops to also level up, okay, their practice of librarianship. Currently, in the Philippines, we have the Code of Ethics for Registered Librarians as a resolution number 2, series of 1992. So within that Code of Ethics for Registered Librarians, we have different provisions. Number 1, Article 1 is the relation with state and society. Article 2, relation with clients. Article 3, relation with profession and colleagues. Article 4, relation with agency. Article 5, relation to oneself. And Article 6, effectivity of the code. In the Philippines, if you wanted to teach, okay, library and information science in the bachelor's degree, you must have at least a unit on masters for your masters of library and information science, or at least finish your MLIS so that you can be an instructor, LIS instructor, or faculty or professor to teach the Bachelor of Library and Information Science. And preferably, those who wanted to teach the Masters of Library and Information Science should have at least their um, PhD or ADD in some degrees or some programs so that you could be able to teach MLIS or the Masters in Library and Information Science. At the same time, all librarians, registered librarians in the Philippines use RL as the Professional Regulatory Board for Librarians Resolution number 3A, series of 2017. We are using or allowing only registered and licensed professional librarians to use and append to their names the professional title RL. So example, my name, Kevin Conretitan Shanko, RL, as an identifier that I am a registered librarian. In the Philippines, around 10,400 are registered librarians, um, which is recorded in the Professional Regulation Commission. Up until now, we continue to promote the degree of Bachelor of Library and Information Science so that we can produce more librarians in the country. So with that, I was able to at least share with you the overview of the LIS education in the Philippines and how can be able to practice librarianship in the Philippines. So thank you very much, and hopefully you've learned something from us from the Philippines.
Thank you so much, Kevin. That was really helpful and really useful. I think it's going to be interesting when I talk about in a little bit to talk about what it's like here in the UK to be a librarian and to kind of compare the differences and the similarities. That's really interesting. Do we have any questions right now? Or if not, you can just hold them for later and we can go ahead to Maria. I don't see anything currently coming up right away, but maybe they'll come later in the webinar, if not already. Maria, are you ready to share your screen and so we can hear about your project or projects?
Yes, yes, of course. So I'll start. Um, 1 second, please. Okay. Hello, my name is Maria Rimero, and I'm a fourth-year undergraduate student of the Library and Informational Department of the St. Petersburg State University of Culture, Russia. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here today. I'd like to share you my experience and project activity at my LIS department. I'm lucky that I managed to participate in almost 40 events in the field of culture. Today's project activity is an important part of education of future specialists in different fields. The LIS field is not an exception. The idea about the project-based learning began to be discussed in early 1990s. So what is it? The project-based learning is a developing learning based on the consistent implementation of complex educational projects followed by information policies in order to acquire basic theoretical knowledge. There's the following advantages of implementation project training. It is developing a material product, acquiring the teamwork skills, growing trained specialist teams for the employer, developing network with professional community members. The Library and Informational Department of our university takes into account these advantages and provides students with the opportunity to initiate their own projects. Just a few examples of projects organized by students. In 2017, one of the bachelor students, Alena Katina, initiated the volunteer student squad Postman of Goodness. Over the past years, almost 120 students who have been actively involved in holding events in the libraries of the city. 2018, the Library and Information Department of our university takes into account these advantages and provides students with the opportunity to initiate their own projects. Just a few examples of projects organized by students. In 2017, one of the bachelor students, Alena Katina, initiated the volunteer student squad Postman of Goodness. Over the past years, almost 120 students who have been actively involved in holding events in the libraries of the city. In 2020, the LIS department launched the project Books Recommended by the Faculty Members that helps students create their own lists of books recommended by professors for personal development. In 2021, I was lucky to become a part of the project We Raise Professionals United Students, which was launched by the Russian Library Association and the St. Petersburg State University of Culture. This project is aimed at establishing professional contacts between students of higher and secondary educational institutions of the Russian Federation who are preparing to become library and informational specialists. The speakers are students of higher and secondary educational institutions who have passed the preliminary selection. The project was inspired by IFLA webinar series for LIS students. The list of projects of the Library and Information Department of the St. Petersburg State University of Culture can be continued. The key point is that students are engaged in the processes of initiation, implementation, and promotion of projects. They learn how to do the whole project. And now I'd like to tell you about a project that is significant to me, which is being implemented by me together with my colleagues. At the beginning of the 2021-2022 academic year, the LIS department presented a new online project, Practicum Experience at the Library and Information Department. It was initiated by Dr. Elena Bakhtina and is now led by 3 students, including myself. The organizers of the project set the following goals: to present the diversity of organizations that are involved in a practicum course, to show the specific aspects of taking a practicum course in the libraries of St. Petersburg, to share the students' experience taking a practicum course, to increase the prestige of the profession in the eyes of students. The project provides an opportunity for students to share how the practice is organized at the department, how they allocate their time at workplaces and libraries, what skills they acquire, and much more. Initially, the project started at the department's account on Russian social media, Wiki, but soon we realized that we needed our own account, so we created it. First posts included primarily texts of interviews with students and pictures of their workplaces. Now, in order to attract more followers, we are trying to use different options: short videos like Shorts, Reels, or TikTok, interactive service, students course about their practice experience. Now, I'd like to take you an example of our videos.
Кто я? Аяна Мирей. А кто ты?
Аяна Мирей.
Ты тоже Аяна Мирей? Да, я та, кого знают как Аяна Мирей. Мы все те, кого знают как Аяна Мирей. Как они все могут быть мной?
It's like a trend, like a joke that a student was left alone in the library and did everything. This change happened thanks to our participation in the contest Library and Information Department in social networks, organized as part of the International Student Festival BiblioFest in May 2022. For 3 days, we worked hard with employees of one of the largest public libraries in St. Petersburg, its director, methodologist for project activities, and PR manager. They were invited to participate in the project as mentors. They helped us find the growth points of our project and develop a strategy plan. Today, our project is no longer similar to that it was at the beginning of our journey. We are glad about this because all the changes that we have made and continue to make, we designed it to make the project practical experience at Library and Information Department even more interesting for students and supervisors or for practice in libraries. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Maria. That was really great. Those projects look like a lot of fun. I wish I could help with them as well. Thank you for that. Again, are there any questions for Maria? Or again, we can wait until later to see if people have questions later on. I don't see any right now, so just to allow for some time later, we can go back to Kevin again for his next presentation, which I'm sure will be just as good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Diane. And congratulations to Maria for a very good presentation on the project that she mentioned. Okay, so let me share. Okay, I hope that you can see my screen now.
Yes, that looks good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Diane. So this, one of my another presentation that I prepared is for the project libraries that we our topic for this webinar. So my discussion, my proposal was about promoting and preparing communities for a sustainable future through reading centers. So one thing that I'll be sharing with you is all about my personal advocacy on, or my personal project on helping and promoting communities for a sustainable future through reading centers, as we believe that public libraries and reading centers is very important, especially to our remote areas. Once again, I'm Kevin Conrad Ethan Shonko, a registered librarian. I am the founder of Magbasa Tayo movement, or in English, Let's Read movement. I'm a senior product manager at my full-time work. An MLIS student and currently an LIS instructor for both UE Manila and the TSU Carig campus in the north of the Philippines. So this is one of my photos when I started with our advocacy or our outreach activities that we made just July 2022 in the north of the Philippines. We go around the country to reach out for kids for a holistic approach with one of my volunteer group, which is I Am Mad Making a Difference. So we visit communities, children, and we immerse with them for 3 days in the area. So as one of my reason why I'm doing it is because of advocacy. Advocacy is defined as any action that speaks in favor of, recommends, argues for a cause, supports or defends, or pleads on behalf of others. To tell you honestly, in 2015, before I finished my Bachelor of Library and Information Science degree or my bachelor's degree, I was able to start and founded my own movement or advocacy, which is in 2015, which we called it Magbasa Tayo movement or Let's Read movement, so just to be translated in English. These are some of our very first activity, our group activity, as we partner with different networks, with different advocates and different community leaders to start with our reading center in one of a small community in the city of Manila. We donated reading materials. We do storytelling with the kids, and this is literally on the streets of Manila. At the same time, aside from working with different communities and helping them to start with reading centers, we continue also to advocate and assist and help those private institutions who would love to create their small reading centers, especially the one in the photo, which is inside a mall. So one, which is a famous mall in the Philippines, which is SM, provided and created a small book nook inside the mall to bring the library or to bring the reading collections to the public. And the good thing with this SM Book Nook that we are supporting is that they provide free collections from that book nook, and you can exchange for a book and get one book from the book nook or the shelf. At the same time, because of the pandemic that's happening, we continue to push for more advocacy, not only in promoting the libraries, but also promoting our profession, which is librarianship. We tried our luck for podcast. We called it Love Librarians with my fellow friend librarians, my classmates in college, and from the university, and also my classmates from the graduate school or the Masters of Library and Information Science. So we work together as we are planning to continue to reach out for more communities and for more listeners to bring and to share with them the projects that we are doing. As we continue to promote reading in the Philippines, We wanted to make sure that every kid, especially in the time of pandemic, could be able to reach something or to reach a material, a resource, or a book, even they are at home. So we started the Reading at Home project under Magbasa Tayo movement, the advocacy. Okay, we send books to places which can be only reached by ship. Okay, we need to send it to them, to the community or to the islands in the Philippines, to bring them the law for reading and those storytelling kits that we can provide for them. At the same time, the Magbasa Tayo movement story or the advocacy that we're doing here in the Philippines was able to be shared in the international scene of or in the international scene of librarianship. Aside from this one that I'm sharing with you, the advocacy in the project that we're doing in the Philippines, one of the very first country who listened to our story is from Indonesia. The National Library of Indonesia invited me to share with them what we are doing for advocacy projects in the Philippines. At the same time, me myself in my group will also work with different youth leaders, and the teenagers or the young adults within a community to have and to give a talk about leadership, volunteerism, and how they can share with their communities and how they can lift up their community members. Our advocacy should be inspiring in a way that it is encouraging or making you feel that you want to do something. The advocacy that we are doing, it's not only to help those communities without libraries and reading centers, but also inspiring the community members to do what we are doing and to love the projects that we are bringing to them. To tell you honestly, we were able to at least reach about um, we reach mountain areas with our indigenous communities here in the Philippines, which is about a 3-hour hike to the mountain to reach the community that we wanted to help. Inspiring in a sense that what continues what are that factor that continue to that makes me inspired to continue what am I doing. This is the place where I came from in the heart of the Philippines, which is Romblon Island, when there is no libraries or librarians or reading centers that are available. And currently with Magbasa Tayo movement, we are planning to build at least 8 reading centers until 2025 in our community. And these are some of the samples of the communities that I've visited and reached and created an immersion project with them. Those are the smiles of the kids that our beneficiary that we worked with for the last few months. Okay, so this is another activity that we work with everyone as a getting to know to each other. We make sure that everyone is known to each other and at the same time playing together as we learn to get at the same time. Librarians have a big role in the project of libraries that we are doing. We partner with different librarians in the country to reach out more communities, especially the remote area. This year, we were able to bring and provide and donate storytelling books, big books to the Tondo Public Library in the city of Manila, and about 2,000 or 3,000, near to 3,000 volume of books that will be distributed to 43 reading centers in one of the province in the Philippines. We continue to make sure that we are active in project advocacy in the Philippines. We wanted to continue the awareness and we wanted to continue the campaign with the general public how libraries are important and how we can bring together a better and sustainable future to every community if we have the reading culture and the libraries in every community in the country, in every community. I also involve some of my students in the projects that I do so that they will be aware on the things that we are doing, be familiar with the advocacy that we are doing in each and every community. And I wanted that they can also continue the projects that we are doing. Here are some new things. Most probably it's post-pandemic activity that we are allowed again to interact with the kids on the streets of Manila. We do storytelling, me, myself, and some of our group mates in the advocacy. We serve to continue to make sure that people can see the beauty, the relevance, the importance of libraries. We build libraries as simple as this one in the province where I came from, and also helping some of the teachers to build school libraries. This is what we are doing in time of pandemic, even though we cannot be there physically, but we try our best to collect and compile and get donations from different institutions and bring them reading collections, reading materials, and some of the health materials that they need, like alcohol, mask, bond paper for their modular learning activities, and textbooks, reading materials so that teachers can continue to assist and help their pupils. Up until now, we continue to work with different, we reach different organizations also. We try our best also to donate books. We network with different organizations, institutions, may it be public or private. We collect books from them and we deliver it to our um, beneficiaries. And this is one of the newest beneficiary that we have in the northern Philippines, which is about 7 hours by land, okay, trip, and go to an indigenous community which we called Agta here in the Philippines. And they were very happy, and you can see how the smile on the kids and the excitement that they are having with the books that we delivered. It's the very first time, to tell you, it's the very first time that we have their reading nook or reading area in their school. So we go around, may it be on the seaside, may it be on an air-conditioned building. We promote storytelling as a way of promoting reading to our young ones and also to our senior citizens, and build reading centers to every community. We reach out also to teachers who are looking for reading materials that we can provide. In the Philippines, and to end my presentation, the Code of Ethics for Philippine Librarians said that librarians, mindful of our role in the development of knowledge and culture and enrichment of people's lives, seek the highest standards of ethical behavior in the relations with their schools, their clients, employers, the librarianship profession, and colleagues, agencies, and associations, and the public. Me, myself, I am very I would say that this time I'm very inspired and I'm very happy to what I am doing and to extending the service that I can do to every community that we can reach and to bring them reading materials, especially those areas without much of a regular electricity, without computers, and without um, internet connection. So to fill the gap that they are experiencing because of having no technologies, something like that, we reach them by bringing them reading collections or reading printed materials that they can read. So at the same time, because I am a fan of a self-help book, I would love to recommend with you those books if you have it in your country, or if there are Filipinos here, you can pick up these books that I really love to read, to inspire me and to push me to the project that I'm doing and to the advocacy that I'm bringing to some of the community in the country. So this is my one of the snapshot of screenshot of my interview to CNN, the CNN Philippines. I am asked to share our project on the story of the Filipino, which is an award-winning documentary in the Philippines. What I've said there is that me that have the knowledge in helping, at least understanding the libraries, can bring something to every community in the country as much as I can and the best that we can do. So we wanted to make sure that one day every Filipino kid will have a book in their hand and that they can read with their family and with their fellow kids and also all ages in the Philippines. So with that, I'm very happy to share with you the project that we're doing in the Philippines for sustainable future through reading centers. Thank you very much. Maraming salamat.
Thanks so much, Kevin. That's a really interesting project, very inspirational as well, I'm sure, for a lot of us who are working on these issues, very important global issues currently. So thanks very much for that. Again, I don't see any questions, so maybe people are holding them to the end. So if that's okay, I'll go ahead and go through my presentation now. And I've got my screen ready to share, I think. Kevin, since if anyone's at least can just put into the chat, can you still hear me and see my first slide?
Yes, Leanne, we can see it.
Okay,
clearly.
Great. Thanks very much. So Albina and and the other chairs of this webinar group that we do, they asked me to talk a little bit about education for library and information science, where I am here in the United Kingdom. And so I'm going to do you'll see here, I think, as I said, some similarities and some differences to what Kevin introduced us to in the Philippines. But first, I would like to say my own students know that I love to share slides and pictures of my dogs when I do lectures in class. So today in particular, I wanted to make sure that I shared a picture of my dog Thistle, because today is her 4th birthday. So happy birthday to Thistle. So what I want to do, first of all, is I want to do a couple of things in this presentation. One, I want to introduce everyone to the professional knowledge and skills base, which is what we use here in the UK as kind of our professional standard for what librarians and information professionals should be able to know and should be able to do. And so some of what I've put here in these first few slides come from a larger presentation that is provided at the links that you can see here below. The professional knowledge and skills base, these are slides from the official presentation from CILIP. So just in case anyone doesn't know, who's not in the UK or isn't familiar with librarian qualification here, CILIP is the Chartered Institute for Library and Information Professionals, and they are the body that sort of govern in the UK, and as well as in some other countries provide accreditation for qualified librarian programs here in the UK and around the world. And the professional knowledge and skills base is really the basis for a lot of what we teach in our schools, as well as for librarians who are going on to further their careers. So we use this as a tool to see what we know and what we don't know and what we want to learn more about. So what we call this the professional knowledge and skills base wheel. And as you can see here, it has a big range of different kinds of knowledge that you need to know. It's certainly not expected that you will know all of this by the time you finish your degree or even in your entire career, because there's a lot to it. But it does help us decide what we know, what we want to know, what maybe is not as important for us and whatever our jobs are, and where we might want to improve. So if you belong to CILIP as a member, either as a student member or as a professional, you can get access to this online tool that you can only access as a member. But what it will do is it will give you basically a website that you can work with to rate yourself on these different areas, these different skills that you can have and develop. And again, you can sort of rate yourself on what you know right now. So if you're a brand new student starting your program, you might not know any of it or very little, unless you've worked in a library before, where you would like to be in the end in terms of where you want to develop yourself to. And if you don't want to know those things, it's okay. Or if it's just not something that's important to you. And so what we say here is with that wheel, that the ethics and values of our profession, which Kevin touched on as well as a bit as what that means in the Philippines, are central to everything that we do. So being ethical, we have a code of ethics that we follow. We have professional values that I believe we probably share around the world, regardless of where we are as librarians. And we talk about different kinds of skills and development and expertise that we can gain as students and as we go through different levels of experience as we go through our careers. So these different kinds of skills are sort of noted throughout the PKSB, and this is only the parts that I can share with you in public. So as I said, it is used for students. I always have my students use it on the first day of it, the first week when they start their course with me at the University of Strathclyde, to have them rank themselves on where they are when they start their degree and where they are by the end, so that they can see what they've developed and maybe what they've developed interest in throughout their degree, and what they maybe want to do to consider different types of jobs that are available to them when they graduate. So this is not just for students, though, it's also for people who are looking to advance their careers. They can use it for promotion. Employers can use it to determine where they need to develop library staff or what kinds of skills they want library staff to have when they're deciding on who to hire and what kinds of skills their librarians should have. And we use it as universities to gain our accreditation for our courses. So CILIP accreditation for a master's program in the UK means that we've been able to map our teaching and learning to the professional areas that CILIP has identified in this sort of professional knowledge and skills base to say what we do and don't cover. And not everyone covers everything, and that's okay as well. So SILIP says that there are 3 different elements essentially to this model of professional skills. And as I said, ethics and values are at the middle of all of it, and it governs everything that we do. And that the professional ethics and professional behavior is something that we need to continue working on. And it's not something that you just learn once. You have to sort of continue to update yourself and reflect on your professional practice throughout your career. So, and this means different things depending on what area of the profession you work in. So for example, I do a lot of work in cataloging and metadata, and that's what I teach. And I've been part of an international committee for the last 3 years called the Cataloging Code of Ethics, which talks about how to create ethical metadata and library cataloging records, and being inclusive in the metadata that we create, but also how people are treated and represented. So again, there are different ways that you can look at this within your part of the profession. So these are what they consider the core principles. Again, the ethics, professional development, which we need to do throughout our careers, the context that we work in. So what kind of organization do we work in? What is the environment like? And then the overall wider context of our profession in general, and keeping up to date with what's going on. The second element, which is more specific, is the particular areas of expertise that we need to consider develop or have some sort of maybe at least knowledge of its existence, even if it's not something that we know really, really well. And there's 9 sections to this. So for example, most of what I do falls under section 5, which is what they call information management. And that has, again, a lot to do with metadata, cataloging, providing access to things. And with under each section, there are very specific skills that you can sort of check off or not check off, depending on if you're going to focus on that area. And then the third element is the generic skills. So this is everything that we should all be considering. Again, these are skills that apply to regardless of what area you're in the profession, whether you're a cataloger, whether you're in public service, providing reference work, whether you work directly with data management, whether you teach information literacy. So that the idea here is that we all are focused on our users and the services that we provide for our users, that we provide some sort of leadership regardless of where we are in libraries, that we advocate for our profession and developing ourselves again personally and professionally, that we participate in some level in creating strategy and planning management and these sorts of things for our libraries or whatever type of institution we work in, and the role of technology and communication in providing all of our services. So that is the tool that we use for not only for training our students and for evaluating ourselves, so that once you are out in the real world and you have a job and you go through your career, we have something that's called professional registration, which Kevin talked about a little bit in terms of what it means to be sort of a registered librarian in the Philippines. So this is our program in the UK. And we have 3 different levels of professional registration through SILIP. So first of all, once you've finished your master's degree in most cases in the UK, you can then qualify to apply for your first librarian job. Once you're in your first few months, your first year or 2, then you start to consider applying for different levels of certification, chartership, and fellowship. And so this follows you through your career. So you start with certification. That's kind of when you're sort of a beginning level librarian in your first couple of years. Then you can progress eventually to chartership. And then when you have a lot of experience later on in your career, you can then apply for fellowship. And to get this, first of all, you have to have the accredited degree, whether it's a postgraduate diploma or a master's degree in the UK. Or from then you get a mentor, you sign up for whichever level of registration you want to apply for, and you get a mentor who's another information professional in the UK who has the level that you want, at least the level that you want to apply for. And you work with your mentor to create a portfolio that shows the skills, what you've done in your job, what you've learned in school, what kinds of things you want to develop, what your plan is for your career. And then that goes in, and then you submit that, and then it's assessed, and then you get returned with a result that says whether or not they feel like you've achieved that level, and then you can use that title. And again, because we believe in ongoing development, once you've put this portfolio together and you get that level, you have to revalidate each year, which just basically means that you have to do things like attend webinars, go to conferences, attend training as you can, and then submit that as your evidence each year to show that you are remaining current in your field so that you can maintain that level of registration. So as it says there, you just need 20 hours a year of this, and then to support your statement showing what you've done. So you have to pay for this a bit for enrollment. So that shows you there the different costs. So that's your first level. Once you've just finished school and you're in your first job, that's £45 to get your first level of certification. And then once you've got that, it's free each year to revalidate, to keep submitting your evidence until then you can, once you're ready to go for chartership or for fellowship in the future, then you have to pay again. Hopefully by then you're making more money so you can afford it. Once you've got that title, I don't think we get a really cool sort of registration card like Kevin has. I wish we kind of had those, but we do get a membership card to say we belong to SILIP, whether or not we've got registration, but we don't get a cool registration card. But we are able to use the titles, which are sort of added to the end of your name, A-CLIP, M-CLIP, or F-CLIP, depending on which level you have achieved. So within the UK, just to give you an idea of the big range of programs that are available in the UK that are accredited by SILIP, there's more that teach things like information skills, but these are not accredited. So I'm just going to focus on the ones that we do have here. And I should say as well that SILIP does accredit courses in other countries as well. I think there's China, Thailand, other countries. I can't think at the top of my head, but we are involved in, well, not me personally, but SILIP is involved in accrediting programs in other countries. So just to show you the range of what we offer in different universities, there's some at the undergraduate level, although that's not quite as common here. Typically, you have to have at least a postgraduate diploma or a master's degree to qualify as a librarian, or to go ahead and apply for a chartership or to get the librarian title in your job. So that's the most commonly offered. And of course, we do have PhDs for people like me who want to do research or go into management. The postgraduate students, you can come from a different range of undergraduate degrees. So we have everyone from history degrees to English degrees to science degrees to, a lot of different backgrounds. Generally speaking, you have to write some sort of dissertation in the UK in your final semester, which has lots of projects that might have been good to talk about in some of these webinars, of interesting projects that students go out into the world and work with real life settings in terms of data management or service development, or looking at evaluating programs that are offered in libraries. Some are online, some are on campus. Of course, we were all online during the pandemic, but some of them were online even before that. My university is back to entirely on campus now, just this year. But there's different options for depending on what fits in with your life and what you're able to do. Some are full-time, some are part-time. Mine is full-time. Some offer work placements. So my university, we offer a 1 day a week placement at sort of a setting of different places. So we offer placements. You don't get paid for them, but you do get good experience in different kinds of libraries and information settings. In my case, around Scotland. In the UK, a master's degree is usually completed full-time within 12 months. So you start in September of 1 year and you graduate in the autumn of the following year. So actually Monday next week, my students from last year that were full-time, well, all my students are full-time, will be graduating on Monday, 31st of October. It's exciting. And so we have a reciprocal accreditation status with different countries, including America and Canada, which are both accredited by the American Library Association. So if you are American or Canadian and you want to do a degree in the UK and then go back and be a librarian in your own country, you can do that. In my case, I got my degrees from America. So I've also worked in Canada, and I've also worked obviously here in the UK because I'm recognized as an accredited librarian in those countries. And we also have similar agreements with New Zealand and Australia. There are just a range of universities that offer different degrees. And so what I did is I just went through the page where you can get on the SILIP website that lists all of our universities in the UK that offer SILIP accredited degrees. And just to show you the big range of different kinds of degrees that you can get just from the same universities, that they're not just all called information science or library science. Some of them sound really different and interesting. So, for example, Aberystwyth University, which is in Wales, has degrees in cultural heritage. Some do more things that are more technical. For example, Cranfield University in England sounds really interesting if you're interested in this, the cybersecurity, information management, the sort of the more technical side of things. So it could be really interesting for you. Places like Northumbria University in England offer things like both library management as well as data analytics, which is more like looking at using data to answer questions, managing data, working more with the data management, the database side of things, more than the library services. So you can get a whole range of things. And here's another page of our other SILP accredited degrees in the UK. So here at the University of Strathclyde, which I will talk about in more detail now, as you can see, a lot of universities offer more than just library and information science, as I said. The University of Glasgow, which is in the same city as me, but different program entirely, offers degrees in preservation, in museum studies, in digital media. Whereas in my case, in my university, I'll just give you an example of the kind of courses that we offer, because obviously that's the one that I know the best. So this is the one that I teach in, that I sort of direct, which is our Master of Science or Postgraduate Diploma in Information and Library Studies. And so you can see here the kinds of things that we teach. This is just an overview. So basically we have 2 semesters of coursework, and then the 3rd semester of a dissertation where the student does some sort of a research project. In our case, different universities in the UK have different kinds of focuses, as you've seen by the different degree names. We are kind of known in the UK for being on the more technical side of things, while still maintaining a focus on libraries and information professionals. We are known as being sort of one of the more techie schools compared to some of the others. And it doesn't mean anyone is wrong or right. It's just that different universities are known for different things. And so when a student tries to choose a course in the UK, it's good to think about what kinds of things you want to build in terms of your skill set. So we do a lot of, obviously, legal things, the ethical and legal side of information professionals, copyright, the GDPR, which is data protection in UK and Europe. We offer things on information behavior, how people look for information, what information needs are for different people. We have a lot of work on research skills, information analysis skills that we offer. I teach, as I said, things around metadata, discovery systems, web development, digital imaging, and we do some a data analysis project as well. So we have a lot of things as well, looking at the different areas of the different kinds of sectors and what different librarians do in different kinds of jobs, so that students can get an idea of what things are available in different settings. We also have 2 other SILP accredited courses. We have one called Information Management, which is much more oriented toward people who want to go into corporate settings, still working with information, but more in the business perspective. So we get a little bit more of things like computer programming, business kinds of things, these kinds of issues that are not quite the same as working in traditional information library studies, but these students may go into a different direction in terms of having a more technical job or consulting roles for different kinds of organizations. So it's a bit different, and it's a bit more computing oriented, I would say. So then the one that's the most recently accredited, which was just accredited maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I think, is in digital health systems. And SILP was really excited about this one because it was the first that they've accredited that's like this, where we do a lot of people that come into this program have a background maybe working in healthcare, but they want to understand things like providing digital health. So all of the apps that we have that we can use now to kind of, like if you have just simple apps on your phone, the most common one is the one that records your step count or how far you walk in a day. But there's a lot of people doing really interesting things with different kinds of apps that can be developed. People that work for our National Health Service in the UK who work with very advanced IT systems, lots of information technology, using data to answer questions and analyze how people's health is going and throughout the country. and how technology can work with this. So we have a very strong area in specific, this is one of our specialties in digital health, as well as both for students who get the master's degree and might go work in healthcare settings, as well as in research for students who want to do PhD level work in this area. So that's all I have, is just kind of a quick overview of, again, LIS education in the UK. With that, I am happy to answer any questions. And if anyone has any questions for Kevin or for Maria as well, please go ahead and put them into the chat now or into the Q&A, and we'll do our best to answer them. So thank you very much. Everyone is very quiet today. So, okay, well, that's great. What we'll do now is, since this has been recorded, we'll get this out on YouTube, and maybe we'll get more people who couldn't join us today, because I know it's a busy time of the year with getting classes started and everything. We'll put this out for other people to see later in case they couldn't join us today. Albina, do you want to say anything about our next webinar? Do you have that available right now?
Yes, thank you, Diane. Thank you. It was very interesting overview, and I learned a lot about the syllabus, and also it was interesting to hear about professional knowledge and skills that are in demand today. Because currently I'm studying this topic as well, so so I'm very thankful to you for sharing this with us. And I think that our attendees and future attendees will learn a lot about this activity in SILIP. We will have the next webinar in November, and it will be a very interesting topic that is called Classic and Non-Classic Career Fields for LIS Students. We all know that LIS students, graduates, work not only in libraries, in library institutions, but also in just in any organization, in any field, because we get professional competencies that make us specialists, I would say. So our next webinar will be on November 23rd, and we invite you to submit your proposals. And as I wrote in the chat, if you are an LIS student, you're welcome to submit your proposal. If you're a librarian or you work in any other field, you are welcome to share this information with LIS students and help us to spread this news. And I think that this project, webinar series for LIS students, is very important for LIS students because it helps them to enter the professional community. And for instance, I know that Kevin visited IFLA Congress this year, and some of our members from the section on education and training were very happy to meet you, Kevin. So it was.
Thank you very much. I'm
Yeah.
also very happy to see them.
Yes.
Personally this time.
Yeah. So I think that this project will help LIS students to network and to get more ideas and get more inspiration how to enter the professional community, how to develop projects, and so on. So you're all welcome to participate in our webinars. So also in December, we will have the third webinar in this season, and it will be on volunteering in libraries, and it is dedicated to the International Volunteers Day. So we will be happy to hear about your experience as volunteers in libraries or maybe in some other institutions. Volunteering is a very important topic, I would say, very important activity. So it would be great to hear more about this, and in your countries, how you volunteer, in what institutions, in what libraries, what you do, how you help your readers, users in different fields. So also you're welcome to view our recordings of the past webinars that are posted on our YouTube channel for IFLA section on education and training. So join us, we will be happy.
Thanks very much, Albina. And thanks again to Kevin and Maria for joining us today. It was really great.
Thank you very much again for this opportunity.
Thank you. I was glad to be here today.
That's great. Well, so everyone knows, watch out for the recording and have a good evening. Kevin, I don't know what time it is over there, but I'm sure it's much later than it is here. So thank you for staying up with us.
It's 11:10 in the evening.
Oh my goodness, no, it's only 4 o'clock here, so. Okay, well,
It's 6.
yeah, that's right, 6, so it's about dinner time there, and then, yeah. So wherever you are in the world, have a good morning, evening, bedtime, whatever, and we'll see you in about a month from now, hopefully at our next webinar.
Okay,
So,
thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
bye.